All right. So, like I said before this, we don't really have like a crazy formal introduction. Tell the people who you are and what you do, which is so many things.
Okay. My name is Marta Anyse Napoleone Mazzoni. That's my full name. That's all of it.
All the names.
All of the names, even my hidden names. And then I work full-time for my family food service company. So I've been there 17 years. We are 70 plus years old in Pittsburgh. We are a family food service company that my grandfather started, and we deal with like restaurants and bars and coffee shops and all the mom and pop shops in Pittsburgh. Not all of them, but that's my full-time job. So it's like restaurant consultant, sales manager, operations, logistics, pricing, all of that. And then about 5 years ago, I wanted to start a podcast that was just fueling my curiosity to become more interested in the things that I were curious about, the things that I found curious. And I'm a solo traveler advocate. I've done a lot of solo travel and adventuring around the world alone. And I've lived in Pittsburgh my whole life. So I wanted to incorporate those things together and have just a love of my curiosity, which I realize and I embrace now, which is part of my transition of accepting the fact that it's a jitney and it's like takes you where you're supposed to go, right? Like the podcast is kind of like your own therapeutic thing. It's yours. It's yours, just like yours is yours. It molds you to what's next in your life. So in my podcast, that was a hard thing for me to embrace. And I talk about entertainment. I talk about travel. I talk about lifestyle, food, and drink on my podcast. And it's all the things that I find curious and interesting and that kind of fuel my nature. Yeah.
You have your podcast. As I started like going deep into all the episodes that you've done. Like, and I mean, the amount that you span, it truly is like kind of being like able to open up somebody's diary and being like, oh, this is what they were into like this year. And this is what they're into this year. And this is what they're into this month. And it's a really,
wow.
I mean, not for nothing. I've had a blog. So like I've done that type of thing where like I went back and you can kind of see like themes where like this is where my head was for a while. I was really focused in this area for a little bit, and then I switched and I got really zeroed in over here. Like it's very much like it, you know, it changes with the tides.
Well, I'm gonna pay you a huge a compliment. I was listening to a podcast today, and it talked about achieving your dreams and how to get, like, a lot of people have asked me how I've gotten bigger names on my podcast. You know, like I've had bigger names on my podcast. And
yeah, as your intro shows.
Yeah, like I've had some big names on my podcast, which are cool and all, but they asked me how I did it, and it was fascinating. I was listening to this podcast this morning. I think it was it Hal Elrod? I think it was a Hal Elrod podcast. And he was talking about how to succeed with your dreams. And it talked about being invested in the people that you want to have around you and that you look up to and that you want to have on your show, and really, really speaking to them. And I have to say that when you sent me that message about my transitional blog that I had, I was like, this reached someone. And that's just the simple fact of it. It was just like, oh, this reached someone, because that's the whole point. I've gotten into my podcast where I'm at the point where I want to help someone. I want to help people. I've gotten to the point where I want to speak to people and like hope that it resonates culturally or physically or whatnot. And that was the biggest thing. So yes. I guess my point is I've never had somebody look back on my podcast and notice my trends.
Oh, I mean,
it's a little bit, you know what? It's a little bit like, oh shit.
no, come on. No. But I mean, I feel like, so I've heard this so many times, just like in like celebrity interviews and stuff like that, where they'll be like, you clearly didn't even look me up. Like, you must have taken a look at like my Wikipedia page or something, but you didn't,
Yeah.
you don't know anything about me. And this is dumb. And, you know, like nobody watching this is getting anything, from me through the questions that you're asking. And I mean, so for me, I'm like, it'd be derelict of duty of me to not go into you a little bit and see the stuff that I haven't already seen.
You'd be surprised though how many people want. I think what it is how many people aren't speaking like from their core values of what they are truly interested in. Because for me, I can't fake it. That's the thing. Like I just can't. I just can't. So I have to be interested in what, like, the person that I'm having on my podcast. It has to fuel me, because otherwise what's the fucking point? So it doesn't make sense. What's the whole point we're doing it for? So it has to interest you. It has to inspire you. It has to lift you up. And that's a huge part of it. So I thank you for your message. It really made my day.
Well, you're very welcome. And it was, I don't want to say that it was like fun to watch, but it was very intriguing, and I was very roped in because I just had a theory that you were kind of working through something. And for people that don't really know what we're talking about, since we didn't frame this up very well, you put out this blog very recently, maybe a couple weeks ago now, called Owning Who You Are Now, Not Who You Were. And that really was the end of the journey of what I was picking up on maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, when like COVID started. But I'm not sure that that's actually the start of it. But I was just like, I think she's working through something. Like there was something in like your meditation videos and just like some of the posts that you were writing. And I was like, there's something going on here. She's working on something like on a deeper level. And the weird thing is like, I'm not a big meditator. I just don't really do that. But like, I would catch myself and you were like in total silence, just doing meditation. And everybody's just supposed to be along with you, like kind of just listening to their breathing, absorbing, the quiet, absorbing their thoughts, all that. And I'm just sitting there catching myself watching. And like, I was like, holy crap, like I'm actually getting absorbed like into whatever this journey is. And so I kind of got invested in you as like somebody from afar, but I've always been interested in you because I think that you're like your travel stuff, and like the more and more I looked into you, like like your, especially whenever I heard things like you going away for like archaeological digs and stuff like that, like that like to me that's so wild and so awesome. And like when you say that, I like my mind like goes wild and I'm like Indiana Jones. So like I imagine you like having a whip and a hat and like
I tried.
and like telling everybody to hang on while you cut a bridge in half. But yeah, I was just I was really invested in seeing where you wound up, and I was actually really happy to see that like there was a finish line that I was able to talk to you about, and that you were willing to talk to me about it. So I guess like we're here, like, so how are you feeling? Like what is
oh man,
when was like the moment, like the breakthrough moment?
Wow. I had two, actually. I had two breakthrough moments. One was last year. And I think I posted about it, that I had my third car accident where someone rear-ended me, and I was just going through yoga training. for myself, not to teach anyone. And the first week of yoga training, I got rear-ended and just couldn't walk without pain. So I was just on, I mean, and I've been on a strange, that's like a whole nother fucking thing. It's like, I've been on a strange journey with myself and, my physical motion, like the way that I move, the way that I work out, the way that I hold myself and my self-esteem and my body image and whatnot, and my weight, has been a complete journey for me. And last year I came to a point, so that was one of my breaking points of realizing that I didn't want to be skinny, and I've never been unhealthy. I've always loved myself. I've always been very confident in who I am. I've just never,
Right.
I just wanted to be comfortable and balanced. And I wasn't that. I was like all over the place. So that changed from wanting to be skinny to being strong and pain-free, and changing the way that I think about educating myself about how to be, it's hard to describe, to be healthy, to just be healthy. So that was last year. And then something happened this year that I can't talk about yet.
Fair.
Yeah, nothing to do with my husband. My husband's great. He's downstairs making pork. It's great.
Hey,
but
hubby.
He's wonderful. Philly's great. But it's just, something happened that brought my family business together, and it brought everything to a head, and it like I had a breakdown from it. And it was needed. It was a good thing. I think a lot of people, when they talk about breakdowns, it's like, oh, ugh,
Yeah.
no, this was great. This was great. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people are going through that right now. I feel like 2020 is a transitional phase. I feel like it's a phase where if you don't admit where shit is just fucking your world up, I don't know who you are. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people got a good look at themselves, whether or not they wanted to during all this.
Yeah, it was a pause, and it was so funny because nobody wanted to talk about the pause and how badly we needed it. I think that was the biggest thing, is like nobody wanted to talk about how badly we needed the pause. And I'd find myself talking to people, the people that were always going. And I was one of those people, I need my breaks. I'm a very I got a hermit for like a while, but see you. But I was always going and pushing myself. And I would talk to the people that were like that. And I would bring it up first and be like, yeah, isn't it kind of nice though? And they'd be like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yeah, I needed a minute. Everybody needed a minute. So yeah, those were my 2 points. I don't know.
I agree.
Great things have come from them. So
yeah. And I identify with those people that say like great things have come from this. Like, thankfully, I don't have.
What about you?
Well, I mean, I'm thankful that I never had anything like negative happen to me throughout all of this. Like, my friends I had one friend that got very, very sick, and it was really scary. I just saw him a couple weekends ago for the first time. It's been because he lives in Denver. So it was, when I say that this is scary when it takes you to the brink, it is terrifying. I would talk to him on the phone, and the best way that I can describe it is it sounded like he was drowning on dry land.
In water. Yeah.
It was terrifying. And then you're just on the other side of the phone. You have nothing, you can do nothing. So like that put things in perspective for me very early, as far as like what the real deep negative end of this could be, as far as like, if you catch this is what the bad part sounds like.
Did he recover?
Yeah, it took him a long time. Like I saw him at a wedding about 2 weekends ago, and he didn't even feel 100, but he was like, I'm about like 95 now. So like that's like 3.5, 4 months. So it takes a toll on you. If it gets a hold of you, it really keeps you for a while. But like I had to work from home. I'm in tech. I work for a streaming company. We do webcasting. That's like I actually kind of call it like that's my side job. That's the thing that basically pays the bills, but it's not my passion. So
I
like,
get it.
so that I've been doing from home, and I love it. There all the things, I shouldn't say all the things that I hate about the company are now like completely removed, but the vast majority are. And I think the vast majority of it really was that like a lot of people weren't happy with their lives and they would bring it to work. And then I would just listen to them be not happy. They would just complain about it. And I'm like, I didn't come to work to listen to you not deal with your problems at home. Like, that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Like I empathize and everything like that, but my day isn't, so that I go home and like don't have any mental capacity for myself anymore because I've just been listening to you bitch all day.
Oh man, that is the hardest lesson to learn, and that has been that been part of one of the reasons why I posted that blog post of owning who you are now and not who you were, because people have to love themselves and take care of themselves in order to take care of other people. That has been abundantly clear, at least for me, this past year. And people that don't know that, just like you said, like you can't listen to his stuff because you can't even absorb, you can't even deal with your own stuff at this point. Like,
right.
You have to take care of yourself in order to hear other people, in order to be able to show up for other people. And I don't know, it's just been a wild ride. Just understanding that, you can listen to it and you can hear it, but to digest it is huge.
Yeah, well, to hear it every day too, it just starts to feel like somebody's pelting you with rocks.
Oh my God.
Like it's just like people are throwing words at you, and it's like
I can't do anything with it.
Yeah, like what can I do? Like I've given you my 2 cents for years, and after a while, it's just like do something about your home life if you're not happy, or if it's not your home life and you're just complaining, like figure out what's wrong and then do something about it.
So I'm going to segue into this because it just feels perfect to do that. I was nervous about it for a long time. I was scared about it for a long time, but I'm I'm putting it out into the world because then it'll force me to do it. Yeah. It's like how you do it. It's like just put it out there.
Right. And then everybody else holds you accountable for it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't hold yourself accountable because you'll chicken shit out of it. Marta, come on. I'm putting out a wellness course, but it's actually a reboot. And it's going to be out before the end of the year. I'm promising myself that it's going to be out before the end of the year. And it is basically a collection of my failures.
Okay.
Over the years.
Like, don't make my mistakes.
No, I mean, it's my failures and it's my successes over the years.
Yeah. Okay.
Of what you need to do in order to reboot yourself and to like get wellness within yourself and to get intuition into your inner happiness. And it's like a practical guide to doing that, like a 3-week program of this works because I have done it for years. I just never release it. I've done it on myself. I have tried everything. I've tried wellness programs. I've tried fitness programs. I've tried everything that you can think of under the sun. And I've been doing this I've been doing this for the past 5 years with myself, but I didn't realize I was doing it. And then I just realized that it's a thing that works for me, and I want it to work for other people. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just doing it. It's fine.
Awesome. Well, you don't strike me as somebody who's a stranger to the self-audit.
But I am.
Okay.
I am a stranger to the self. I'm not initially, but I am when it comes, like I am a person that is an idea person. Like they come to me and I'm like, oh yes, this sounds amazing. I want to do this. But then I'm like, ooh, there's things to do for this. Like,
yeah,
you need to think about this. Like, is this really what you want to do?
You find yourself spread too thin.
Yes. Exactly.
Which I've done a lot. Like I cut out a lot in my life to stop, because there was a moment where people, like friends, were like, we don't see you. You're doing too much. And part of it was I wasn't working smart. I was like just kind of doing things. I wasn't organizing them in a way that it was streamlined, and maybe I was being able to knock out a lot more, and kind of other things would feed other things if I would put them in the right order. But I was
excited about them when you were excited about them, therefore you didn't put them in the right order. Like you were like, oh, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do, and it wasn't, you didn't block your time.
Right. And I'm also I'm very deadline driven. Like when I get one, it's like almost a competition to me not to miss it. Like I need to make the deadline. And probably the worst part about that is, instead of giving myself a reasonable deadline, I'll probably just take the deadline that was like floated. It's not like a hard deadline. Like somebody was like, I would like to have this done by blah. And I could have probably been like, yeah, but it probably needs to like, give me like 1 extra week. And that seems way more reasonable. And I'll just be like, I'll get it done. Like I'll make it work. I'll smash it in there. Like, and yeah, there was definitely some times where I just wasn't working smart. And that's that reflected in some of my relationships. I had a lot of people, my parents being one of them, or I guess 2 of them, but like friends for sure, were not stoked at the way that I was managing myself, because not for nothing, like it's a little weird for them to be kind of selfish of my time, but like again, like they're coming from the angle that they give a shit about me.
Of course. No, I get it. So when was that? Have you kind of pivoted in 2020? Have you taken a step back?
Yeah, I've definitely cut a bunch of things out. Now I'm seriously invested in this company that I have with my 2 business partners called Some Good Print. That is like kind of an arm of this podcast. Like this podcast is, one of the tentacles of it. And just in building a business, you have to build the processes and the systems and everything like that. And it just does take time, and it does take sacrifice. But that being said, it's managed. Like we know where we're going. We know what we need to do.
Oh my God, that's huge.
So, and we're getting better at communicating with each other and delegating. So that's been great, because even though some people aren't totally stoked about the way that I'm using my time, I know that this is a short-term sacrifice for long-term happiness. So like I'm going to lose some stuff in the near future, but like going long-term, I'm going to have more time for people. When this is all launched and everything is firing on all cylinders, I'm going to be able to do this correctly, and I'm going to be able to give myself to more people.
That is wonderful. And honestly, I feel the same way. I feel like I truly feel like most people are gaining more focus in 2020. And myself is completely included in that, where, and you seem like you are very similar, where it's, you know, you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of, and you need to focus and kind of like narrow down of what are the things that are serving you, what are the things that are truly speaking to you at this point in your life, and what are you holding on to. That was the thing, like, what are you holding on to of what you think other people expect of you,
Right.
is huge.
And not letting yourself evolve is just the worst. It does.
Wow.
I mean, literally to say not let yourself evolve just means you're holding yourself back.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And it's so funny. I've always been the person, like, I'm always the person with my friends and my family that gives advice. That's always the person's like, oh, you know, we are ever shifting, we are ever changing, we are, you know, that's who we are. That's humans. We adapt, we change, we shift. It's normal.
Right.
And then I found myself holding myself, which was weird, because I'm always like, I'm always a person that looks within, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm Marta, you're good. Don't worry about that. This year I was like, fuck. Damn, you are judging yourself. Girl, you are judging yourself. You are like, what are you doing? What are you holding on to? What can you let go of? And how hard is it to let go of it? And if I have trouble letting go of it, I can't imagine what other people are going through, because I feel like I'm pretty self-aware. Like, I do feel like I not to be whatever, but I do feel like I am. So the fact that I got fooled, you know, I feel like I got pranked. Like, like, it snuck up on me, and it was like, you know, I'm like, oh shit, what is this? You know?
But I think that's the easiest time for it to happen, is whenever you think that you have it all together.
Right. Yeah. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy to break down the barriers and realize that you don't.
Yeah. I think there's a big difference between there's a big difference between like real momentum and just like I guess like non-destructive stagnation, where like everything just seems okay, you know, but like there's not a lot of growth happening, but it's not strenuous either.
Yes.
So it's like a complacency
Yep.
area. But when you catch yourself there for too long, you will get blindsided by when like the challenge comes your way.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to pass this along to anybody listening, because I heard this piece of advice today, and it's the piece of advice that I tell other people all the time, that it's the 5 closest people around you that you surround yourself with that basically reflect your inner state. And
you are the combination of the 5 closest people.
Yeah, right. And like, it's the 5 closest people around you. So look at the 5 closest people around you, and are they challenging you? Are they pushing you? Are they building you up? Are they making you feel better about yourself? You know, are they trying to create new habits that are good for you? But here's the rub. So I have said that to myself, and I've said that to people for years. But then I recently heard this thing that blew my mind, because for a lot of people, they are stuck with the same people that they are stuck with. You know, if you're in a marriage, or if you are in a group of friends that from high school or whatever, I'm not judging high school, whatever. If you are in relationships that you can't let go of because you love the person, and you realize they might be toxic, but you love them. The piece of advice that I got today that blew my mind was, it doesn't have to be people that are the closest influences around you. It can be books. Those people can be around you without being human beings. You can pick up an autobiography of somebody that is inspiring, or you can pick up a biography of somebody that, you know, that they wrote about that is super inspiring, and you don't have to have those humans around you. Those books can be, or those podcasts, or those people that you don't quite know, that you might not be like the closest to, can be your inspiration to pull you out of that. And I feel like that, I honestly, it like blew my mind today, because I think of people, I mean, I have, you know, everybody has people that are not as inspiring. Like everybody wants like the dream team super squad, like Vegas crew, whatever, like rolling with, you know what I mean? Everybody wants Queen Latifah as like their goddamn, you know, like I'm just calling up Queen Latifah being like, hey, what do I do? I don't know. Yeah, you need to do this and blah, blah. But you probably don't have that, and that's okay. But you have people that have poured their hearts and souls out to putting books out and putting podcasts out and gathering their thoughts, where you can absorb that and you can be around, you can have that around you to lift yourself up. And I don't know, it just blew my mind. And I hope somebody somewhere listens to this and they're like, oh my God, I can listen to that.
I think right away people will be like, oh yeah, but that's, well, I mean, maybe they don't connect the two, but right away I did. I was, look, that's like the genesis of like the self-help era, or just like motivational speakers and stuff like that. That's like the advent of the Gary V's and the Tim Ferrisses and the Tony Robbins and all that stuff. Like, so
it
yeah.
is, but it doesn't have to be so out of reach. Like you can imagine those people as part of your circle. You know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, because people get intimidated. Everyone gets intimidated.
Yeah.
I don't care who the hell you are. At one point in time, Tony Robbins was freaking intimidated by somebody else. And in order to not be intimidated by those people is to think of them as part of your circle and just be like, what can I learn from them that they are teaching me that I can apply in very small steps?
Yeah. And the interesting thing about saying it that way, being like in your inner circle, is this podcast era, which I think is amazing on so many levels, but because they do kind of talk so candid, like it's not canned, it's not scripted. They just kind of have their moment with the microphone.
I'm sitting in my attic. Like this is the most boring area that you can imagine, but it's the only area that had light. And my brother-in-law, my brother, and my sister are downstairs. It's total family hangout downstairs. I'm just like, I'm going to go sit in a corner. Like, it's like the most boring corner that I can imagine. Like, there's nothing.
Hey, I can help you with a studio setup. I'll help you if you want.
I mean, yeah, this is like as honest as it gets right up in here.
For sure. For sure. But so I know you're kind of pressed for time, and I don't want to keep you too long since you have people downstairs, but I do want to kind of get into a couple things, just like points of business with you. So leading up to, or kind of going through this little personal journey that you had, I saw that you hit 100 days of meditation. Are you still rolling? Have you missed anything yet?
So it was 180 days. And then I missed a day. It was awful. And then I missed another day. Like it was like a gap of 3 days, like did it, not, did it, not, did it, not. And it directly affected my mood. And I didn't know why the fuck my mood was off. that next week I was all over the place. My workouts were, because I teach yoga, I was all over the place and I didn't know why. And then I used the Insight Timer. They are not a sponsor. It's a free app. It's amazing. And it tracks your shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, god damn. Like I missed. It was like Monday, yes. Tuesday, no. Wednesday, yes. Thursday, no. Friday, yes. Saturday, Sunday, no. And I was like, oh my God. When you start to look at the patterns, when nothing else has changed, but that has directly changed and your mood is affected, you see it.
Yeah.
Meditation is huge. Not to be a frou-frou. I'm not a frou-frou person. I'm not. I'm not. I believe in results. I do. I believe in results, and I am like a researcher, and if it gives me a desired result, I can go back and say it works. And meditation has been the one thing, that and working out and like HIIT training and getting your cardio up and yoga, but that is also part of meditation. So it has been the one thing that I can say changed my life. And that's like such a fucking, I mean, it's a compounded thing. Look at
But
me.
I've heard that so many times though. I don't feel like that's a very unique statement.
It sounds so lame. It's so ridiculous. It sounds so lame. It does.
But it might just be a human thing that really works.
It works. It just works. It doesn't have to be a Zen master on a mountain. It is a practical application that humans need because we are overwhelmed with data and like thinking about the future and thinking about the past, and all it is the present. Like right now, I am fully engaged with you. I'm not thinking about people downstairs. I'm not thinking about what I ate earlier, because this is my life. This right now is our life, and we are never going to get this moment back. Like this is the present moment. If you think about that and you really just hone in on it minute to minute, that is exceptional because you're really living that moment. You're not thinking about the future or thinking about the past. You're thinking about right now, which is the only moment that counts. And it's so, like, why does it have to be so goddamn hard to be human and thinking about the present moment? We are a species right now that has to force ourselves to slow down and be present. And that sucks, but it's just real.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that your present moment is so complex, right? Because it kind of comes with needing to learn from your past and then also needing to set yourself up for success in the future. So what you do now really matters in your next step, but then the now becomes then, and then that needs to be a tool for the future.
But here's the thing, because I've thought about this a lot. And I'm a planner. I'm a total planner. I'm a gamer. I'm a planner. I am. I have never felt more in line and things that have happened naturally in my life along this jitney and this road as when that I have been fully present and have practiced being fully present in my life. Because when you start to do that, you start to look inward, and looking inward gives you the clarity of things that deserve your attention.
I like that.
That shit is real. Like, that's not even a joke. That is like, absolutely, that's not rocket science. It's not spiritual. I don't care if Jesus comes at you or like fucking Buddha, whatever. Like, it is an absolute fact. I am telling you a fact that when you become present and you go within yourself and you start to do that, things line up, because then you are in tune with your, and not to be like Mr. Destiny, you're in tune with your destiny. Like, you're in tune with the things that serve you, the things that you really want to do, the things that bring you absolute joy, the things that bring you to and you don't even realize what they are. People don't realize what they are. They're just so inundated with everything that they've been taught and pushed upon them. And it is magical. I'm telling you, it is magical. Sorry, I'm going to stop talking now because.
No, I love it.
Dear Lord, I sound like a crazy person.
You don't though, because
I mean, do.
Well, I mean, when you're somebody like me and you like to listen to people who are really, really into psychedelics, and then them talk about like going to the other realm and like dealing with the entities and like learning the lessons, and whether or not like they're mocking you because like you take yourself too seriously, or they're telling you that you need to be happier because like you're putting too much stress on yourself, or like you're just enjoying the artful like fractals that like just appear before you. Like I'm that is not strange to me. I love that stuff, man. I think
you're all about opening the neuro pathways.
I think that there's something that we lost somewhere in humanity where like that mysticism that we used to be connected to is, I think it was demonized, and then we disconnected ourselves from it. And then the people that tapped into it were like the dregs of the society. And then we couldn't then get on board with it because like the hippies were doing it, you know, like.
Absolutely.
That I do think that there's something to it. I think that there's some really interesting literature that's out there that kind of talks about, there's a book, I think it's called like The Cross and the Mushroom or something like that. It's a priest who was a linguist, and he decided to go back into the Dead Sea Scrolls and go through the original Bible texts. And he then decided to like, I'm going to try to translate this, knowing everything that I've studied. And what he came up with was that most of the Bible is based on mushrooms.
Probably, yeah.
And then he came out, well, he left the church because he then thought that they were trying to keep all of this from us, and that was the access to God, that you were accessing God by accessing these mushrooms and like being able to like go to the next realm. And then after he left the church and put out the book, shortly thereafter, the church bought the book and tried to bury it.
Oh, shit.
So
that's one way to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But yeah, I'm very into that type of stuff. I think that there's.
You know what? I absolutely am into that. I'm not a crazy person. I mean, by anybody's standard, I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I am by some people's standards. Life goals, but yeah, I believe in meditation. Like, not as like a quacky person. I'm reading the Michael Pollan book, How to Change Your Mind with, mushrooms, and have experience with mushrooms. And I totally believe in, I'm like, I took on these guys as like a sponsors, like the neuro tapping, the people that were from Pittsburgh, the little neuro tapping thing that I can't remember the name. I'm a terrible sponsor person. And, I believe in that shit. I totally do. I think we need to keep pushing ourselves to break the patterns of the past. That's it. Like, period. And seen. Like, I just do. I think there's patterns. I think there's judgments. I think there's stigmas. And I think it's ridiculous. So, I don't know.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. To not get too stuck here, because I want to let you go, but I also want to cover some like big things that I know you have going on. Tell me about yoga and sailing retreat.
Oh
This
shit.
sounds insane.
Oh
I
my
could not believe when you
God.
tagged me in that post. I had to watch. It was amazing. It
God
sounds so
damn.
cool.
So quickly, I teach yoga. I teach yoga that teaches for every body so that bodies can age naturally without pain. That is my biggest thing. Like no pain as you age, and like you can get off a freaking toilet by yourself. That would be wonderful as you age. Nobody thinks about that. It's not glamorous. I don't care. Um, so that is like my yoga teaching is like strength, mobility, and balance. And then I wanted to incorporate my solo adventures and my travel into that. And I partnered with this company that holds my same ideals. I love sailing, but I also love being private. I don't want to do like a massive cruise and like, but I also don't want to be like lifestyles of the rich and famous. So I found a company that is working with me overseas, and it's 8 people per sailing vessel, and we're doing it in Croatia next year. And then we're doing it in Thailand and Greece in 2022. And it's a yoga sailing retreat, but you don't have to do yoga. That's the beauty of it. Breakfast and lunch are included. Evenings are open to just experience the island and just go off by yourself. There's going to be an intuition class. I don't know. There's so many things I could just talk about it for like the next.
I so badly want to send my parents to it because my mom is way into yoga, but I do think that she could use a little more of like I think that she could use a little bit of like loosening up of her mindset. And then my dad is not into, although I think he could be talked into doing it just for the sheer experience. He's not so curmudgeonly that he wouldn't do that. But I do think that someone like you and your perspective, that's not me, would really pay dividends on his perspective. And of course, I just said that on a podcast, so
That's
they don't
okay.
listen.
I talk to my parents on my podcast too. Like I know that they listen to my podcast, and so I'll just drop all of my stuff on them. I think I dropped that I was leaving for 6 months on my podcast. I was like, so when I turn 40, I'm gifting myself. I'm just gonna leave for 6 months.
Oh, your 6 months solo trip.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be 6 months next year due to COVID. I might split it up. I might do like 3 next year and then 3 in 2022. Just to
So, what are your travel hacks? How are you able to pull this off?
I've been working for the same family business for 18 years. And I have done so many sales for so long. And I've also just set it up for so long that I've been wanting to do this. Like they know that this is something that brings me joy. And also I investigate products while I'm gone. I investigate, like I go to Italy and I'm like, oh, I'm going to visit the pasta making facility because I want to know about the pasta, or the tomato making facility while I'm over here. Or if I'm in Greece, I'm like, oh, well, maybe we can pick up a Grecian olive oil. I don't know. So
I want to tag along with you. You sound like you travel the way that I like to travel.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. So
I eat and drink my way through anywhere. Like
absolutely number one. Yes.
Yeah, I could
Priority.
care less about like hiking. I will hike and stuff like that. Like I'm totally down for it. But like
I got a plan for it.
My whole thing is like I want to be like balls deep in the culture. Like I want to sit at the bar. I want to talk to the bartender.
I want to be the bartender at one point. That's my goal. Like honestly, that is my goal. If I end up anywhere that I end up, I'm either going to I don't know. I'm going to get a job at wherever I end up. But at that point it's not a job for me. It's just immersion.
Right. Yeah, it's just like doubling down on being a part of the culture.
Yeah, it's just awesome. So, I don't know. All right.
Well, a good segue before like I really let you go. So you do the Libations Tour, and you're really into just booze in
Yeah.
general. So like I'm sure the Libations Tour is kind of rough to organize at this point, but like, is there any plans for that? Do you have any thoughts on it moving forward?
I have two other things in Pittsburgh that I will touch on to humans out there to touch their brains and their ear lobes. I have two Airbnbs in Pittsburgh. If you guys ever want to stay, they're very immersive. So they feature Pittsburgh artists and artwork so that you can immerse yourself in a little bit of our culture, and also storytellers and musicians. And then I do host a Libations Tour. I haven't done it in 2020 just because, it's COVID. Why not? But
Why haven't you done it?
why not, Mart? Oh, you wouldn't believe the emails that I get. Like,
Oh, really?
why aren't you putting this on? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be safe up in here. But I am hosting wine dinners. So I'm a wine advocate as well. So I'm doing like these wine dinners where I will feature like Virginian wines or Ithaca, like Finger Lake wines around town, just to like promote culturally people traveling that are uncomfortable. Just getting to know our area within like 5 hours is freaking incredible. So yeah, I do wine dinners in town.
Nice. Well, hey, I'll do, if you come hang out, I'll do a staycation in your Airbnb. That sounds like fun. Because I mean, I know people that have flown and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily there yet, but
it's fun. Dude, I will tell you, doing a staycation in Pittsburgh, especially my Airbnb where it is, I did that this summer. And it pulled me out of my I felt like I was on vacation because it's in the north side, and it's like you walk out the front door, you take your bike and you can like bike the trails, you can walk to town, you walk anywhere, you get a cup of coffee. It just feels like vacation. And I live in Crafton. I can't do that. There's not a coffee shop within walking distance of Crafton.
right.
But you can have a vacation that doesn't have to be overseas. Everything has a place. You can get it wherever you are. So
I'm in Mount Washington. Have you been to Cafe Cravings?
I have. Oh my God, I have, on the back road right next to Bingham.
Yeah, it's Caddy Corner. So unassuming, like, because it's got weird hours. Like, I've been to Bingham a million times.
Super weird hours.
Yeah, I've been to Bingham like a million times, and then all of a sudden one day I had a friend in from Philly, and she was like, let's go to a cool coffee shop. And I just like whipped up Yelp real quick. And I was like, wait a minute, there's a coffee shop that's like less than a mile from me. What is this? And sure as shit, it was Cafe Cravings. And I had no idea it was there. I've been living up here for like 5 years. I had no idea it was there.
Pretty fun there.
It's amazing. So I advocate anybody to go check it out. But yeah, that's a great little coffee shop if you've never been, but you've been. So I'm gonna release you. I've caught you. Now I'm gonna release you. So I'm super stoked that you did this. I'm like so excited that I was able to do this with you. Happy birthday!
Hey, thanks.
You're welcome. And happy October, because I know like Halloween is like definitely your thing.
Definitely is. I love
happy
Halloween.
October. And then lastly, just like plug all your things and tell the people where they can reach you, your website, social media, all the things.
Okay. So you can reach most of the things on martaonthemove.com. That's usually my portal for most things. It's my haphazard journal entry to everything that I do. You can find me on Airbnb there, on Pittsburgh Artist Gallery. You can find me if you want meditations, inspirations, and self-help or whatever in a time of crap on Instagram. It's Marta Mazzoni at Marta Mazzoni PGH on Instagram, maybe. And then I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible at self-promotion. And then just stay tuned for my wellness program that is, I hope to be out before January. And I don't even want to release the name yet because I don't want to like bite myself in the ass. So I'm not going to tell you the name, but stay tuned for my wellness program. And I'm also in the process of doing a board game as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's just like, wellness program, board game.
So I know people who are obsessed with board games before COVID. Like,
oh, me too. I've been obsessed with board games for years and years and years. And I'm making my own. I'm tired of this shit. So I want my own. I want my own board game. So I'm just doing it.
Well, that's awesome. If you need any partners in that, I know some people have a printing company.
I might actually. I don't have a printing company yet. So.
But this was awesome. I cut a ton out because I knew that you have people downstairs literally right now. So I just really, really appreciate you taking the time. This was awesome. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm flattered that you would take the time because you're a Pittsburgh somebody, by the way.
Oh, stop.
You are.
That's lame.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it. You are.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your email and thank you for taking the time. Your time is valuable. And you know what? As a podcaster, I realize what it takes to do the research and do the time and really invest in your guests. And I appreciate that.
Well, it paid dividends for sure. So, and I appreciate you saying that. But so stay safe, stay sane, and as you say, keep it moving.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye. Have a great one.
You too.